Nuclear energy is a beneficial use of nuclear technology. For example, you can use fire to burn down a city and kill everyone in it. Does this mean we should ban fire for cooking and heating? You can use a machete to kill someone. Actually, 1 million plus people have been killed by machetes in the last 20 years, more than any other weapon. And yet the machete is the most important tool for farmers in the developing world. They clear land, cut firewood, harvest crops with this knife. And yet the same knife can kill people. Yet with nuclear, a nuclear bomb and a nuclear power plant are two completely different things. Unlike the machete, unlike fire, which are the same thing, which you kill people with and cook with. With the nuclear, you cannot drop a nuclear plant on a city, a nuclear power plant. So there you have a complete separation. But the most important point is that nuclear energy is one of the cleanest, from an air pollution and greenhouse gas point of view, one of the safest from a human health and accidental point of view, and I'll elaborate on that, and one of the most reliable and cost-effective technologies we have made to produce electricity. Personally, I prefer hydroelectric over all of the rest because it is renewable, it is very cost-effective in the right locations, it is clean, it is very easy to turn on and off and up and down, it follows the load. It's the ideal form of electricity, is hydroelectric. But nuclear is next, in my belief, as the next most ideal. Now you say Fukushima. What a terrible disaster. How is that? No one has died from radiation at Fukushima. Not one person. If 10,000 people had died of radiation at Fukushima, then I would say that's a disaster. In the way, say, 3,000 people died immediately at the Bhopal gas chemical accident in India. And another over 100,000 suffer permanent lung damage and will die young because of it. That's a disaster. But Fukushima, no one has died from radiation. At 3 Mile Island, no one died or was even injured in that accident. No plant worker, no member of the public was harmed by 3 Mile Island. It was an expensive mechanical failure. Like you're driving down the road in your car and your engine blows up. You probably forgot to check the oil. Human error. But you pull over to the side of the highway, safe, your kids, your wife, everybody's fine. No one has died. This is what 3 Mile Island was, and to date, this is what Fukushima is. Chernobyl was different. It almost shouldn't be counted because somehow or other, because the Iron Curtain was there, the Soviets got away with building a style of reactor that should never have been allowed. No one in the West or in Asia built such reactors. Chernobyl was a design of reactor which could blow up, a runaway nuclear reaction. That's what Chernobyl was. 3 Mile Island and Fukushima were loss of coolant water and meltdown of the reactor core, a totally different accident. Neither of those caused death by radiation to anyone. The World Health Organization, after studying Chernobyl for 25 years, says that 56 deaths were directly caused by the accident. Now, many of you have probably heard Greenpeace says 90,000 people died in Chernobyl. Some people have gone as high as 980,000 people died in Chernobyl. This is just propaganda. The World Health Organization was part of the Chernobyl Forum. 7 UN agencies, including Belarus, Ukraine, and Russian governments, all following the history after Chernobyl. 56 people died, it's true. Mostly fighting the fire, which went for 10 days. There is no evidence of increased cancer in the people who were exposed at Chernobyl. And those people were not evacuated like they were in Fukushima. They did not get iodine tablets like they did in Fukushima. And they were not warned to stop drinking milk. Even in Chernobyl, they didn't even warn the people to stop drinking milk because they pretended it didn't happen for 2 days, for one thing. We didn't know, the announcement didn't come for 48 hours after the whole reactor core had been spread down the wind into the citizens all around there, 300,000 people. They were all exposed to that radiation, possibly 1,000 times higher than anybody has received at Fukushima, and there is no evidence of increased cancer in those people. Now, coming back to Fukushima, there is an organization in Hiroshima called the Radiation Effects Research Foundation. They have followed for over 60 years the survivors, 100,000 of them, of the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They've also followed 20,000 people who lived in Hiroshima and Nagasaki but were not there that day. They were visiting outside somewhere. The increase in cancer in the people who were exposed to the bomb is very small compared to the people who were not. It is like in the order of 1 or 2%. Whether this is even statistically valid, I don't know. It is higher, but not much. And they were exposed to huge radiation. When the Radiation Effects Research Foundation was asked by the American National Public Radio after Fukushima, are you going to do a follow-up study on these people? They said it makes no sense. There will be no discernible health effect in this population because the radiation levels are simply so far lower than could cause a problem. And even the workers in Fukushima are restricted to 250 millisieverts of exposure. They all wear badges. And after they receive this much, which is not enough to harm you, out they go and someone new comes in. So, in the whole history of the nuclear industry, 56 people have died, all in one accident by a stupid design reactor from the Russians. So let's count it anyways. That's about 1 person per year for the history of nuclear energy. So nuclear energy has killed 1 person per year. 3,000 to 5,000 coal miners die every year, digging coal underground. 2 million people, according to the World Health Organization, die prematurely due to breathing the air pollution from fossil fuel combustion, mostly from coal-fired power plants. In 1975, a single hydroelectric dam broke in China and killed 26,000 people instantly. And because it wiped out all the roads and communications in the valley, 100,000 more starved to death in the next weeks. So 126,000 people died from one hydroelectric accident. Actually, last year, or it was late 2009, 65 people died in a hydroelectric accident in Siberia. One accident. More people than have died in the history of nuclear energy in one little hydro accident. People are dying in natural gas explosions, on the BP oil rig exploding, and in coal mining all the time. People are not dying in the nuclear industry. It is, if you look at it by statistics, just about the safest industry we have in this world, the safest technology we have invented. So few people are harmed by it. And so on the issue of being afraid of the radiation from nuclear energy, including the nuclear waste, which is actually one of our most important future energy resources because it can be recycled to get nearly 100 times the energy from it, no one is being harmed by that either. It's not as if people are lining up in the hospitals because they have radiation burns from nuclear waste or nuclear power. It's not real. It is an irrational fear. Because 1.3 million people die in vehicle accidents each year, compared to 1 per year if you count Chernobyl in the nuclear industry.